This show will focus on helping you lose visceral belly fat. If this has troubled you for many years, you don't feel confident in your clothes anymore, and when you look in the mirror all you can see is a belly, well, I'm going to help you tackle this issue. Within 30 days, I'll provide you with an actionable framework, step by step, that I'll teach you in this show. 5 steps I'll take you through on how you can actually tackle this belly fat issue known as visceral fat, which is the bad fat that sits on your belly, that is around your vital organs, and it is different to normal fat, which is adipose tissue that you might see on your hips, muffin top, etc., and other areas of your body. This fat is more loose, and I'll explain what the difference is between these two and why a person does get visceral belly fat buildup over the years. So let's dive into the show. Now, one of the main causes of buildup of visceral belly fat is stress. If a person is stressed, they will increase their visceral belly fat because stress does a few funny things. Number one, it drives hunger. It makes you hungrier, and it's not craving a chicken breast or going to the fridge to grab some avocado. When you're stressed out, you what's called stress or comfort eat. You probably can relate to this. I too myself have comfort eaten many times before and stress ate. I'm a busy dad of 2, and when around the time my children was born, it was a very stressful time for me personally. So I would often go to the fridge and grab chocolate, cookies, I'd crave sweets, and all the unhealthy sugary snacks that wasn't normally my regular thing. But as I was more stressed, something I just couldn't help, my cravings were much higher. So we know that stress does drive visceral belly fat. The reason why visceral belly fat is built up through stress, because stress, like I mentioned, increases a person's sugar intake. When they're eating more unhealthy snacks, UPF, or ultra processed snacks, they generally can't convert all of that sugar into energy so the body can utilize it and burn it off through their muscles. Also as well, the body does become what's called insulin resistant, which means their muscles that were maybe sensitive before are now not responding to glucose. So as they're eating more and more sugar due to their stressed nature, they then can't physically burn off the sugar that they're eating if the majority of their food intake is highly processed snacks and meals, and the majority of them are hidden sugars that I mentioned before. The cookies, the sweets, they're all the obvious stuff, but all the hidden stuff as well is a problem that you need to tackle. So the first step to losing belly fat in 30 days is to work on your diet. Now, the diet is probably one of the best bang for your bucks for losing belly fat. The first step would be to put yourself into a calorie deficit. A calorie deficit will start forcing your body to start utilizing fat as a fuel source, particularly if you align your macronutrients. So if you eat the right amount of protein, carbohydrates and fats. You can do that by downloading MyFitnessPal. This will help you track your nutrition, input your personal details, and you'll start to understand how much you need to consume throughout the day. MyFitnessPal will give you targets to aim for, depending on your height, weight, etc., and your activity level. If you're pretty sedentary, it will give you a smaller target, for example, of calories, versus if you're more active. So start tracking your food from day one. This is the first step. You have to get into a calorie deficit, because without that, you may be consuming too many calories. But not only that, you may be consuming, like I mentioned before, too much sugar. So a calorie deficit is the first step to tackling visceral belly fat. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever tracked your calories before? And if you did, what was the outcome? Drop me a message in the comment section below. Step 2, prioritize muscle and not just cardio. If you're one to do plenty of cardio on your bicycle, running, doing a lot of intense training, particularly towards cardiovascular work, well, this, number one, can create a lot of stress, which I mentioned before, which can create increased levels of cravings and hunger, which I mentioned. But also, what you're not doing is you're not building muscle. Now, muscle is a very important thing that we need to focus on, building muscle tissue, because when we have more muscle tissue, that responds better to insulin sensitivity. It becomes more sensitive to our glucose, our carbs, our sugar that we're eating. So the body can burn off that sugar more easily if we have more muscle tissue, versus if we have what's called skinny fat, which is just no muscles at all, but a belly, visceral fat. This is the worst case scenario, because you have untrained muscles, but you have tons of belly fat. It's just sat there. So skinny fat, that is the term for that. How do we tackle skinny fat? And that is through regular weight training. So you need to go to the gym, start lifting weights. If you can't go to the gym, start lifting weights at home. Buy a weight set. Start working on lifting weights and not just doing cardio. I can assure you, if you start to lift weights, you'll get into a great rhythm and routine. From there, you'll start enjoying yourself in terms of working out, versus just going for a run and doing the same old boring workouts that you've always done. And you'll start to really enjoy working out, and this in turn will help you build muscle. From there, you'll start to shred belly fat, because number one, you'll be in a calorie deficit, which I mentioned first step, but number two, your training is focused on building muscle, and you'll start to build muscle. Within 30 days, you could have gained a couple of kilos of muscle tissue. It's that fast, as the body adapts to your training stimulus as a new lifter. Because as a new lifter, you get gains really fast. So if you've never really done weight training before, if it's a new thing for you, you will get a ton of muscle in a very short space of time as the body adapts and to the stimulus, which is lifting weights that you're doing. So this can be a great bang for your buck to help you become more insulin sensitive. So as you gain more muscle, your body will start driving glucose into your muscles to utilize it through what's called insulin. Insulin's one of our primary hormones that drives, it's a transporter. It transports energy into your muscles to utilize it for energy. So the more frequent you are with weight training, what you'll find is you get better uptake of glucose into your muscles. And you'll know this because your muscles will start to get more pumped as you drive glucose and water into your muscles. And you'll start to see your muscles getting bigger, and your belly fat will start to shrink down. And that's the best case scenario going forwards. And that's when you'll know you'll start to see the results that you deserve. Step 3 is time restricted eating. Now, this can go a long way for helping a person align their eating patterns and habits throughout the day. Like I mentioned before, when a person is just grabbing snacks, this can cause a spike in blood sugar, so causing insulin resistance. But if you have selected times when you are going to eat throughout the day, this can be a game changer. Now, what this does, it allows your body to force its way into its fat reserves. If you have selected times throughout the day when you're going to eat, and not you're eating sporadically like you may do now, whenever you fancy a snack, you just go and grab that. Well, time restricted eating is about choosing the time that you want to or should plan into your diary. So if you want to have your first meal at 10, plan that every day. Then next meal at 2, plan that. Next meal or snack at 4 or 5, book that into your diary. And your next meal at, let's say, 9 o'clock, that's your dinner, versus eating whenever you want. So the times that you're not eating will put you into what's called a fasted state. And this will start to tell your body that there's not any food available. So this will then tell it to then start breaking down fat as a fuel source. Particularly if you're in a calorie deficit, you'll start to see your body breaking down fat This will show on your shape as you start looking in the mirror and you start to feel more toned and defined, but also on the scales, you'll start to see the scales significantly drop as you start to lose belly fat. Step 4, improve your sleep and cortisol. Now, I mentioned before, cortisol is one of our primary hormones, mainly due to a person stressed. So we want to tackle that head on. Now, if you're just naturally a stressed person, you may not be able to do much about your stress state, particularly if you've got a busy family to look after, like myself. I'm naturally just more stressed, but you can do something about it. Now, what I personally do is I make sure that I'm in bed at a suitable time every night. 10 p.m. is the time I go to bed. Now, we know that sleep plays a crucial role in helping a person manage their cravings. If a person is not sleeping because they're going to bed too late and they don't have any type of sleep routine or discipline around that, the next day, as soon as they get up in the morning, they're going to start to be feeling more like they're craving sugar. Because if a person is not sleeping, we know a person's hunger hormone, ghrelin, is increased. They're just never really satisfied. They're always hungry. Throughout the whole day, they'll be snacking and wanting food. And it won't just be any food, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show. It'll be mainly sugary food and processed snacks. So getting a good night's sleep absolutely is invaluable for helping you manage your belly fat, because that's going to bring down your stress, cortisol, and in turn you'll start to lose belly fat because of that. Step 5, and this is something very easy, but a lot of people don't do it, and that's working on a step goal. A step goal can be a great way for you to just get up and move versus just being sedentary throughout the whole day. Can't tell you how many times I've worked with a person and they've only been doing 2,000 or 3,000 steps throughout the whole day. And I just think, well, let's get up and let's move. But they're not counting their steps. So I find counting your steps, getting a Fitbit and tracking your steps can be a great way for you to start becoming more active. And within a couple of weeks, you'll start to lose fat because you're increasing your ability to burn fat as we're moving a bit more, because very light activity does help. Doing a step count or working on a step count every day, it may not seem like you're doing much at the time, but I can assure you it can be incredible for you to lose fat and burn off that belly fat that you've built up over time. So there you have my 5-step protocol plus some information on what causes visceral belly fat to build up. I hope you have found this show helpful. I hope you can go away and start actioning these steps, and within 30 days I can assure you, if you do, you will start seeing your belly fats dwindle away and you'll start to reveal a flat, more toned stomach. If you've got any questions, feel free to pop them in the comment section, and I wish you all the best of luck. Hope it all truly works out for you. Have a great day.